Good evening, welcome to the Thursday, June 20th, 24 Planning Board meeting. This is two continued public hearings. Anyone that wishes to speak in favor or against, I'm going to ask you to please approach the podium, give your name, address. Has the board had time to review the minutes of the last meeting?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Long? Do you need a minute?
No. Just.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, with that, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from June 6th of 2024.
I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
Just what's my agenda?
Right, to,
One was the colored one, but I'll take this one.
I have,
That's all right, that's okay.
Two of the minutes.
Thank you. I needed to keep Bob to you on track.
I gotta ask for a chairman's corner for an executive session next meeting. Can we do that now?
You can do that, yeah, I can do yours, yep.
Next up is the update for the chairman's position. I'd like to make note with Nancy. Nancy, could you advertise next meeting that the board will be going into an executive session before the meeting? Yes?
So would we go into executive session at 6:30? Probably just need about a half an hour,
We could do that.
just to, but,
You
okay,
can do it at your 7 o'clock time.
that's, okay.
Do it at 7 o'clock
7
time?
o'clock, then
Whatever the-
open the meeting and go into executive session and then to return back into open session.
Pending with litigation, with the police and pending.
So you'll
Yeah, you
post
just have
that
to
for the
post
next
that
meeting?
on the agenda.
I don't have it.
No,
What was the question?
I know she wanted to advertise it.
no, it just has to be noted on the agenda.
That's the normal way with your agenda when you post it.
When's the next meeting? The 4th is a Thursday, right?
We have to think about that because I thought we weren't meeting.
Next in line is the consulting engineer report. Mr. Durkin, anything new to report to the board?
No, not others in my late submission of the, nothing other, we'll get
In tonight's hearing?
And I'll email that out
Not to-
to Nancy and Jesse.
What was it?
Nancy, question?
I said I'll email out the engineer's report to yourself and the planning board and Nancy.
Nancy, do we have any new subdivision submissions, site plan submissions? None noted?
Mr. Chairman, can I make a recommendation?
Sure.
When we have public hearings, can we make them at like 7:10 or 7:05? Because we always have to take a recess for 10 to 15 minutes, because is there a reason they have to always start at 7:15? Could we start it at 7:05?
Just, it was always like that because of the first 4 items.
Usually take time, okay.
But,
Yeah, Larry doesn't usually read his report at that time, he usually waits till later in the meeting,
This
so
week.
kind of.
What time's it this week's?
these are continuing,
Oh, all right, I was looking at the last one. Okay, so we don't have to wait. All right, I thought I saw 7:15, but you're right, that was the last one.
Do you need to review a little bit more?
Nope, I'm good.
Can you, if you don't mind, so what Nancy can do with the agendas, she can notice all of the public hearings that you have on your agenda for 7 o'clock at the start of the meeting, and as long as you don't hear the hearings before that time, if the notice covers it.
Oh, nice.
So if you have 5 public hearings and one doesn't get heard until 9:30 at night, it's still covered.
Oh, good, okay.
So That'd be my recommendation. Notice all the public hearings for 7 p.m.
That works, thank you,
That'll avoid having to take your,
thank you. Okay,
Do you want a break or do you want to keep going?
yeah, no, there's no time on here, I was looking at the,
Okay, 'cause we have no
the
time.
last one.
Next on the agenda is subdivision submission, site plan submissions. This is a vote on subdivision, preliminary subdivision 15, 22, 26, 30, 40, 44 Collins Ave. The applicant is here. Has the board had time to review the information that we've been set forth? Mr. Lowe?
All right. What exactly are we looking for on the subdivision?
Well, last week the last time we were here, we looked at a rotary. It went to nowhere, so
That rotary down there?
I don't see any changes.
The vote on the subdivision, what are we doing? I guess is my question, what are we doing? I look at this map that was provided by our engineer, and
Mr. Long, would it help if Mr. Schumer explained it to us? Well,
oh, Chip, hi, how you doing? Okay, I'm ready to listen.
So, board members, for the record, Attorney Jesse Schomer representing the town of Saugus. Before you is a preliminary subdivision plan filed by this applicant. The representatives, as you will remember, appeared at the previous meeting of your board and explained that the preliminary subdivision plan is for a road that the developer does not intend to build. They filed it for the purpose of freezing the zoning for the site. A draft decision has been prepared by town council for your consideration and your review, which essentially in the context of a preliminary subdivision filing doesn't have any force or effect. It's really just to give the applicant a roadmap for when they come back to the board with the definitive subdivision plan. In this situation, being it's a commercial development or a mixed-use development, they're required to file a preliminary plan prior to filing a definitive. So this is the first step on the process of doing that. The draft decision provides guidance for the applicant for when they come back with the definitive plan. And in this case, what the draft decision discusses is that in accordance with the subdivision control law and your local rules and regulations, a definitive subdivision plan cannot create lots that have zoning violations on them. The plan that's before you appears to have zoning violations based on the existing buildings that are already on this site, specifically having to do with the density that is provided for in the Route 1 zoning district. The draft decision does not mean that they cannot come back with a definitive subdivision plan. It just means that they are instructed to review the issues that the board flags in its decision, and when it files the definitive plan, it should be addressing those issues with modifications that are provided in that plan. Additionally, the decision notes that if they're requesting any waivers from your local rules and regulations, those should be specified in the application. In this situation, as you'll note on the plan, all of the access comes off of Collins Avenue, and I know Larry had some information about that. There's some confusion about whether Collins is public or private. The state seems to think it's public. The town seems to have records that indicates that it's private, in fact, and the developer believes it's private as well. If it is private, it would represent a dead-end street that is in excess of the local rules and regulations maximum of 500 feet. The stub off of that road would be an extension to a further dead-end road that is in excess of your rules and regulations, so that would require a waiver of those local rules in order to extend the dead-end street. The decision also notes that you have the ability to require the developer to project subdivision ways into adjacent properties. In this case, that would refer to the Maddie's property, which is being developed by a related developer to the owner of this site. My understanding from reviewing the master plan and site plan for the Maddie's project is the developer already plans to connect the two sites, so that's something you can require to be shown on the subdivision plan as a subdivision way connecting those two sites. And in connection with the subdivision approval, the town would be granted easements to maintain utilities and access on these subdivision ways that are created. The town also has, the board also has the right to request that the roadways be brought up to town standards such that they would be appropriate for dedication as a public way for the town of Saugus, if that is desired by the town and by this board. And that would resolve the issue of whether Collins Avenue is public or private. That's all I have to say about this, Mr. Chair. I'm open for any questions if you have any.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Durkin.
Just a point of clarity on the application from the applicant dated April 10th and received by the town. On this page, it doesn't include the number 4.
That's probably a typographical error. I think the plans themselves do refer to all of the
They do.
parcels. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. The decision also specifies all 6 parcels that are included.
Would you show me what we're talking about?
Mr.
Mr.
Durkin.
Chair?
I
I
think
have
part,
a set of plans here.
Yeah.
Okay? And I don't have, you're looking for what, approval on AR? I don't have, this is dated April 6, 2024. So, not having been involved in this project for a long, really up until this point in time, what are we actually looking at here? What are we looking for?
So I think the plan that you have in front of you, Mr. Long, I believe that, not that plan. I think the plan that Larry just handed out, I think you can set that aside. That's just his engineer's report.
The one underneath, what?
The one underneath, the large size.
let's look at this one.
So that plan appeared, it just from looking at it from over here, it looks like that's the plan that the developer filed for the modification of the existing Essex Landing
Okay.
approvals.
What is really being modified here?
So we're
Well,
not
this is
talking
a separate,
about
that's a
right
separate
now.
matter.
Right now, we're just talking about the preliminary subdivision that they have before
That's
us,
the
which
next
is to
area.
freeze the zoning.
Okay, what's the change then?
Did you listen to anything he just said?
I can give you the broad strokes. So that's a separate, that's the next
short
item on your agenda. That's the change of the existing Essex Landing project. What they're proposing to change are some revisions with the parking, some revisions with the drainage structures.
That's coming up next, Bill.
That's the next
That's
item
on the
on the
next
agenda.
hearing.
And why are we signing this now?
Well, because this is 2 different things. One's a subdivision.
The first thing is to just the preliminary subdivision.
That's the set of plans. This is a half-size set.
I mean, are we
That's a different
recognizing the space, the parking spaces and things of that nature?
That'll be on the next, hearing.
No, but I mean, it's on this page too.
Yeah, that's part of what Attorney Schumer just mentioned, how it, do you want to give him the layman's terms?
So for purposes of this application, I recommend that you just close that plan. You don't need to be concerned about that.
Not yet.
Not yet. This is the plan that is at issue in this hearing. They're both filed by the same developer at the same time, so it's a little confusing, but
It's a half-size set, but I mean, couldn't get my printer to work.
Wow, doesn't show you much.
I would go to the next page, actually. That's the existing condition there. There you go.
Yeah. I don't have this one. by the way.
Okay. Wait,
Sure, from your house to my house.
So
Okay, so we're changing the cul-de-sac.
They're adding a cul-de-sac. They're adding that cul-de-sac is
Yeah,
essentially it.
Yeah, it's not there now.
Yeah.
It's not on the plans that we have over there.
Yep. That would be created as a subdivision road, is what they're proposing.
They're looking to create two lots, lot one and lot two. Where's it?
This is where the hospital and all the assisted living was going to go.
Somewhere in that area there.
And now it's gonna be, lot one's gonna have the two buildings there,
They exist.
They exist, yeah.
and lot two is going to have this, and, okay, the third one,
That's 6 and 8.
yeah, okay. And lot three,
That's 15 columns.
that's, lot three is under a conservation situation on this one. Should we be recognized lot three if there's a conservation situation which may change the, what they can do with that lot?
So what they're showing on this plan, they're not changing lot 3 in any way. Lot 3 exists now,
Separate,
separate.
okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, so what we're doing is going from this plan over here with that rotary, we're going to this over here with the cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
And this is,
But you already have the rotary in existence,
Right.
so they're gonna take the rotary out?
What the developer's representative said at the last meeting is that they don't plan to build this plan. They applied for this only to get a zoning freeze. They were very candid about that.
But that kind of flies in the face of the fact that you got a rotary right here. And that rotary is supposed to be where the connection goes, that would go to Maddie's property.
It's very confusing, but
Well, I guess I'm wondering, what's the benefit to the,
only to freeze the zoning has that been given to the board.
Correct me if I'm wrong, I think the crux of it is
Okay,
that
let me
this
ask you a
preliminary
question.
subdivision plan creates non-conforming with our zoning.
That's
So
right.
based on that alone. Has nothing to do with all that other stuff.
Yeah, the other items that you're noting will be addressed in the next hearing.
That'll be addressed
Yeah.
when we talk about the modifications.
what, you say we're freezing the zoning, or? This,
When-
this right now is on the highway.
Yeah.
By signing this goes back to the old lots of, one building per lot and all that stuff.
No. So what the zoning freeze does is it freezes the zoning for 8 years as of the day that they filed the preliminary plan. So in this case, like, they filed the plan in sometime in April. The intent of that was probably to avoid the zoning changes that happened at town meeting this spring.
So if we sign this, what we're saying is that they would still be able to file under the highway multi-use, or whatever you want to call it.
Regardless, they can still come back and file. If we deny the preliminary subdivision, they can still bring their subdivision plan
Yeah.
back with the
Wait,
assisted living.
whoa.
That's not stopping any of that.
You have a approved site plan.
Yeah.
Which has been developed,
Yep.
most of it's been developed.
Right.
So, when you say it freezes the zoning, what zoning are we really freezing here?
So what it means is the provisions of the town zoning bylaw that were in effect when they filed the preliminary plan, those remain in effect for 8 years. So anything that happens in the next 8 years, if the definitive plan is approved, don't apply to this property.
So right now, Attorney Schimmer, what zoning are we applying?
You're applying the zoning that was in effect.
2018?
No, the zoning that was in effect the morning before town meeting.
2022 when we changed.
2022?
Let me
think-
ask you
yeah,
this,
that's right.
excuse me, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
If they can put new buildings in here then, there's a certain, under the site plan, there's a limited number of units that you can have. This is subdividing it under a subdivision situation.
Right.
Does that change in total the units that have been approved under the original site plan?
No, doesn't change that.
So I'm still trying to figure out the real value of doing this then.
It's just to ensure that they don't have any zoning changes that apply to them in the next 8 years. That's the reason why they filed the plan.
So if we change, for example, apartments and
Yeah.
stuff like that per acre, which we have,
Which you have,
it wouldn't apply to this at all.
correct.
So currently what's in effect stays in effect for the 8 years.
That's right. Example is the project at 860 Broadway. The developer there filed for a zoning freeze to avoid the town's multifamily housing moratorium that was enacted later that spring.
Right.
So that's how the zoning freeze worked. They weren't subject to the moratorium. They were allowed to go forward.
Well, I don't know how anybody else feels, but if I'm not required to do this, I'm not doing it.
So my recommendation, Mr. Long, would be, if the board is inclined to take a vote, to issue a decision as drafted for you, which denies the preliminary subdivision approval, that clears the developer to come back and file a definitive, and gives them guidance and instructions for what the definitive plan should contain if and when they do come back. And chief among that would be to demonstrate zoning compliance.
That would be my position. Don't be looking at me.
I'm listening to you, because you're talking.
I move to reject the
So
request.
we have a motion then.
Yes, you do.
One before we do that, Mr. Turkin?
I think in the engineer's report, I think one of my recommendations is the peer consultant evaluate the proposal and parking for these parcels, and parking on 41 Collins and report to the planning board. I think you've had some discussions with the peer consultant on a scope and a fee. And I don't know.
Would that be on the next on the
I
modification?
think that would be on the
That's
next one. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Thank-
It's, you do have the right to retain peer review consultants for a
We voted that
subdivision.
at the last meeting, so we'll
On the-
vote that out.
Oh,
Okay, you
We did.
okay.
Yeah, on the modification you did.
Mhm.
When they come back for a definitive plan, you'll have the opportunity to retain peer consultants on that.
On that. That'll
On-
be
on-
separate.
on
We
the
need a
definitive
check from the applicant before then, though.
And Mr. Chair, I'm not the only one who's a bit confused, so really what the goal is, we have some plans, but I know it's filed just to do a placeholder on the zoning, but, I still, it'd be good to have a written narrative. There is some description in the filing, but, it's just a recommendation. But, go ahead, please.
So
can I get a mo-
Make a motion?
Has your motion still in effect, Mr.
My
Long?
motion is not to approve the subdivision plan, preliminary plan. And the reason would be that in effect, with having a public hearing on the modification of the master plan and the site plan,
No, no.
and but as far as, I think it's best suits the public's interest to know what's going on in that situation, rather than trying to protect
You're
the.
merging, correct?
You're merging the two at this time.
You're only
Merging.
thing you're voting right now, the only motion you're making is on the preliminary
preliminary
subdivision.
subdivision.
Yeah, yeah.
So you're making a motion to
I think-
deny that based on the reasons that Attorney Schumer said?
Yeah, item
That's it.
number 5. The motion
Okay.
applies only to item number 5. Which,
Okay,
Can I get a second?
a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. This preliminary subdivision plan has been denied.
For the reasons stated by Attorney Schumer. Next, you have the continued public hearing for the modifications. Continued public hearings. Make a motion.
We'll take a break before that. You want to go right into it? Okay.
Unless you need a break. There's no time, so we can go right into it.
The next continued hearing is the modifications of the master plan, site plan review plan, Essex Landing, Attorney Magel. He is not with us this evening.
Yes, I'm Mike Touchette, the owner. Rich Magna couldn't make it
Could you
tonight.
come to the podium?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Introduce
Good evening. I'm Michael Touchette, the owner of the site. Rich Magna couldn't make it tonight, so I'm here to answer any questions. I know we had a site visit requested by the board a week and a half ago to discuss this. So tonight, we're asking to approve the plan with conditions after the site visit, that those parking lots that were used temporary be removed when the other buildings get approved. That was sort of what I got out of the site visit a week and a half ago. So I thought we had a pretty good site visit. I know Tetra Tech came to the site. We were there for an hour and a half. We walked the site, everybody that was involved. So like I said, again, tonight, I'm asking for the board to approve the modified site plan. I'm not gonna, I mean, based upon what I heard at the site visit, with the conditions that those temporary parking lots get removed when the other two buildings are completed. That's what I'd be asking for tonight. And then we'll be coming in probably in the next 6 weeks with a new master plan showing the assistant living and accommodating all my parking problems. We've been working on it steadily for the last week with our engineers, the buyer's engineers, their architects, and everybody. So we're trying to come up with a master plan now to come back in here as quickly as possible. And in that new master plan, it's gonna solve all the parking issues.
Any questions from the board members?
Mr. Chair, I appreciate the site visit, it was very informative, and I appreciate your time. I thought that was great.
Thank you.
I think there were 3 lots that were, we looked at. Me personally, I don't have an issue with 2 of them, the third one being the one that's on conservation at this time. I'm not sure if I would be comfortable voting on that particular lot until conservation heard. I wouldn't wanna.
Yeah, I agree. Were you able to get on the agenda for the
No,
conservation?
we're-
I know they met on Tuesday.
For conservation, if conservation doesn't approve that, then it would be a condition. You know, right now, the last time we went to conservation, when they know there's pavements there. So we told them, last time we were there, that when the building got built at 15 Collins, that would get removed, and they were good with that. So in the meanwhile, we got an extension of 3 years on our order of conditions. But with the concerns with this board, we are gonna go back to conservation very soon and give them our final plan for that piece of land. So,
Was the last time you went in March?
I don't know, I think we went way before that, because I think Paul Michon, my engineer, went by himself and got a 3-year extension. Before that, I attended the meeting, and in the meeting, we discussed with the board that because it was there temporary, we would come in with a plan for a finished product when 15 Collins got built. That was what we told conservation. But now I understand the concerns of this board, so we are moving forward with the conservation plan to go to them. Whether we get parking or no parking, we're gonna act on that as soon as we get that decision.
So with the minutes that I read the last time, it appeared that you guys were there in March, that you had said to conservation that you were gonna move all that out very soon, within the next couple months. Then we received a letter in April from Frank McKinnon saying that he was requiring that to be removed, like now.
No.
And then my understanding was this, yes, thank you, this is it right here.
I went in March of 2023, not 2024. And then we said to them we would come back with a plan in August of 2022. I mean,
This
2023.
letter is dated in April of '24. And the conservation has been told you that they want that removed. But my understanding is that the modifications you're asking us to do is to make that a permanent.
No.
It's in dark
I
blue
will,
and.
we will
and-
strike that. I think there was confusion last week with Paul Feldman on making that a permanent parking lot. We understand that that is in the buffer zone of conservation.
Yeah, and there's a paper street that goes through that.
There's a what?
Pearl Lane, there's a paper street that goes right through
Yeah,
that.
the master plan was approved with that detention basin. The wetlands is on someone else's property. We're in the buffer zone, right? If you look at the conservation. So we went in 2023, I attended the meeting, they said, come back to us by August, but then it was expiring. So Paul Michon, the winter zone, we got a 3-year extension because we had some differences with the town that we were in court with, so we didn't have it settled. Now that we have a decision on what we're gonna do with the main part of the site, we know what we're gonna do. We know that we only need 3 parking spots, one parking spot per 3 beds in the assisted living. So I know now we only need 75 parking spots.
For the assisted living?
Yes,
But
if
are
we
you
build
currently-
200
Are you currently at, under your parking now?
Well, I'm way under our parking, but it's, when we got it approved, it was 1-to-1. It was shared parking in that zone, and honestly, it didn't work out. I'm not gonna sit here and say it did, so now I have to adjust it. The zoning's not like that anymore, but when that zoning got approved, they didn't want paved parking lots like the Hilltop used to be and the Calhoun is now, and that was discussion back then when this zoning, new highway business district got, so they wanted shared parking. So as long as we showed on our master plan that we had sufficient parking for that whole site, right? It didn't say specifically where it had to be. So we have enough parking for 40 columns, we have the amount of spots that's required, but we don't have any extra parking. So some people have 2 cars, some people have visitors. So when I was using that piece of land for later on here, I took it upon myself and paved it, and I shouldn't have. I should have came to this board, and I didn't, because I didn't know it was required. So now I'm asking for a little relief until we come in here, and we're gonna come really, really fast with the assisted living plans. They wanna move as quick as this board and we can move. We've already,
Well, I do agree with the assisted living, and we need it.
yeah, and Wingate's a great group. They're gonna build a Class A facility, 200 to 210 beds. Like I said, we went to court. We're following the judge's orders. We're gonna come in here with what the decision was. I think, don't quote me, but it's like 75 parking spots is all we need. And in the original plan with the 2 hotels, we had like 285 for the hotel. So we're gonna have enough green space. We're gonna be able to solve my parking
How
problems.
do you figure that out with the hotels, man?
Excuse me?
How did you figure that with the hotels?
Well, we had like 580 spots. I think it's 1 per, I forget the zoning, to be honest with you.
Okay,
But-
so on the old master plan, you show a parking garage.
Right, because
Is that now not going in?
we only need like roughly 75 parking spots. So that parking garage was gonna accommodate 240 spots. So we might build 1 story, we might have 2 stories, we might have no stories. The assisted living wants green space, they want open space, so when I've talked to them today, they said they might build 1-story parking garage.
So right now you have 2 parcels that you're using that belong to somebody else.
No, I own, those 2 parcels, yes. Yep, for parking, yes.
And you are aware that you never went to the Board of Selectmen for approval for that?
100% I'm aware, yes.
Okay, and you know that's required to park over there.
I
If you're
did-
over 300 feet from the
No, I didn't, like I said, came up.
requires a special permit.
It's temporary parking lot. We were asked by this board to provide you with a modified plan showing all that. We did. We had a site visit. If it's a major problem, I'll take them out tomorrow. I gotta keep going forward here.
So I don't think any of us have an issue with that temporary, although that you're saying it does require an S2, even if it's temporary.
Requires an S2 permit
For those other 2 lots, I think the main
for the 2.
issue, it sounds like, I know.
So that's gonna wipe out 3 lots, is what I'm getting at. Right now, if conservation is requiring you to move the pavement,
No, I don't think so, Mr. O'Brien. I'm sorry, but I don't think so. They gave me time to get the next building built. We have a 3-year extension. I am gonna go back to conservation with a plan, showing them a plan that we're gonna work on together and get that piece of land developed. That is a concrete top. There's nothing ever gonna grow there. 0. It's not, it's,
Can I ask, where is the proposed assisted living going? Is it where the hotels were open?
yes.
Or is it that on the
No,
other
no, the
lot
2
where
hotel sites.
Where you originally had that parking lot, the parking lot we're
Well, the
talking about
parking
that's over
garage-
here was originally on the master plan, so just picture this. This is where it is over here on all that temporary one that you painted blue. It was originally over here on the master plan.
No,
right?
nothing
And
to
then
do
you
with.
wanna keep it here instead of moving it.
We want to
here.
put it with the 2 hotels that were on the master plan. It might be 1 building, it might be 1 building connected with a bridge, it might be 2 buildings,
No, so the assisted living's going over here then?
Yes,
Not
nothing
over
to do
those
with-
parking lots.
nothing.
So then what's the issue with putting that parking lot that you have here, that's on the conservation
Because-
spot, to where it was over here on the master plan?
Oh, back up to 15 Collins?
Yeah,
Well, once we build that building, we're gonna have extra parking spots. So right now, with Kane's Donuts, the gym and everything, you know, I have 40 units down there and I have 78 parking spots. So on a Saturday, the help parks in that parking lot. Otherwise, they're parked all along the street because of the shared parking zoning that was approved at that time.
Right, I don't think you answered my question.
Oh,
Where you originally, on the master plan, where you had that parking lot, you knew you needed that parking lot, but on the master plan.
Oh, yeah,
It was over here on 15
Well,
Collins.
right.
Now it's down here on.
because if we park there temporary, we can't build the building.
But that's what I'm asking you, is there a plan to build a building over there? I thought you were
100%.
building The assisted living over here.
No, yes. On 15
building
Collins,
on
there's a
both.
plan.
There's another plan that we don't know about yet
No.
that's going over there.
The zoning thing, like your attorney said, we're working out what can be built there. 20 units, 30 units. At one time, it was 48 units. The zoning changed, went down to 30
Some of
units.
that on 15, isn't some of that
Yes.
on 15 still residential zoning? Won't
No.
that have to be changed?
No, 15 Collins is not
Piece of
residential
it?
zone.
A piece of it's not?
No, it's not.
Not?
No, 35 Collins is.
35 Collins is.
Yeah, that's aggregates land.
Yep.
Which I'm also in the process of buying, but that's another story. But I don't want to bring that up today. So 15 Collins, we're going to come in with a plan, whether it's an office building, 30 units, 20 units, or whatever. We're figuring out the density component and that stuff, and we're coming in with everything at once in the next 2 months.
Okay.
So my parking problems, we're gonna show you on my proposed new master plan, when we show the assisted living, we're gonna show you all my parking issues resolved, that those lots will disappear when that land gets developed. Like we talked at the site visit.
So, let me ask the attorney, could we continue this till we have a little more information and we can maybe have peer review look at this with all this parking? Because it seems like a lot of moving parts, I'm just kind of unsure. And I think we would all feel better with, if you have that 3-year extension, you're saying that that was given to you in when? March of 23?
It was, this year, I went in March of 23 to a meeting when all the stuff came out that we were parking there, but we were always parking there on concrete. So it was unbalanced, so I put some asphalt on. When that came up, they said, come back to us with a plan in August of 23. But at that point, we realized that our order of conditions was expired, so Paul Machonda went in and asked for an extension, and they gave us a 3-year extension.
So from August to 23, you got it?
Well, whatever meeting he went to, I'm not sure if it was August or
But
September.
it was 23.
Okay, yes, it was 100% 23.
Okay, so you weren't in conservation in March of
No.
24?
I was not.
Okay.
Nope. So there is, you can check with conservation, we do have a 3-year extension, and we do have time to come back to them with a proposed plan. So
You're
my
saying you have an
intent,
extension to 26,
Yes.
sometime in 26?
yes. Because our approval process was not going as quickly as we'd like to, so we didn't know. So the reason at 15 Collins, it shows a paved parking lot on the master plan, because that was all calculated into the drainage calculations when we built the detention basin. And we've already provided that to this board and Tetra Tech. So when Machonda did all the drainage calculations on the whole site and all the catch basins and the size of the pipes and everything, that impervious area was figured into that. So nobody could say later, oh, you added a parking lot, can your drainage handle it? So that was all pre-done, and we've already submitted all that stuff to Tetra Tech in the previous letter, and they reviewed all that. This is coming down to the last 4 or 5 items that we didn't resolve in the town hall meeting, and stuff that you people wanted to see, the 3 layers of what was different. So we walked the site, and I explained again, and I'll explain again. The problem is, if we don't, and maybe the attorney doesn't know, I have to at some point get this plan modified and approved so I can submit the new master plan. That's my issue now. So I don't mind continuing until we gather some more information. I'm fair with that. I'll go back to conservation, I'll get, their letters, and I'm sure by that time, Paul Machonda will have some kind of plan that we're gonna give to them, because he is working on it. So I don't have a problem with that, but I'm just saying, on the other end, we can't move forward, from what I understand, I'm not a lawyer, on our new master plan until this plan gets resolved.
Mr. Schumach, do you want to comment on that?
Sure, so at your previous hearing, you did vote to retain Tetra Tech to provide peer review services to you.
Correct.
As far as I know, they haven't issued any kind of report.
No, because we haven't received any.
But they came to the site visit, and Steve said he loved everything. He came to the site visits.
yes.
Well, he had a lot of questions.
Yeah, but, I said,
Have you guys given a new payment for that?
a new what?
A new payment?
No, nobody's contacted us about any of that, so
Do that tonight.
Hmm?
We can do that tonight.
I thought when he came to the site visit, when I asked him what's next, he goes, everything's fine. He goes, he came to the whole site visit. So, I mean, we don't have a problem engaging in them to answer these questions in writing.
So
But he did attend the site visit, and I talked to him about
He won't do that
manhole.
if he doesn't get paid, though.
What's that?
He won't do that if he doesn't get paid.
No, that's fine.
So
We
can
talked
we-
about that in the last meeting, but we haven't received anything to forward the funds. So we don't have a problem with that.
Well, we don't have Mr. Riley anymore.
I know.
So
Yep.
that's our conduit
Right.
to you. So if you want to drop off a payment,
We don't know what we discussed.
I would honestly think,
maybe could Steve draw up a scope with an
well, it depends on
estimated?
what they submit for plans. I spoke to
And
Steve today, and to get it off the ground with everything that you gotta change and do, everything that you're gonna modify, I said to him, well, what would we be looking at? For a type of review and that depends on what they submit.
Well, we have that submitted for the last 2 months, that plan.
But he had some questions after the walkthrough. and I
Okay.
said- I was hoping he was gonna make.
Did he give you a ballpark figure?
Yeah, he said about 20,000.
I don't know, I have to talk, that's to what, to
Can you-
review
can
this
you
modified
talk-
site plan?
Can
I've already,
It would be.
can he give us, draw
Carry
up
on.
a scope, send,
I will
email
ask him
it
to
to
draw up
me?
a scope.
And then I'll get it to you, you
Okay.
can look at it, and maybe the two lawyers can discuss it or whatever.
Yeah.
And then we can at least get that going, so we're not.
absolutely. I like this,
Tying it up.
that's what we asked last time for the scope, and then we would review it, and,
Yeah, then things
yeah.
changed, so. But to keep it moving.
He may have sent the
So we
scope.
don't hold.
But I don't understand what we're looking at. I mean, what are we looking at?
Well,
Well, I personally, and I think Mr. Rando echoed the conservation stuff, I'd like to see that cleared up, but I don't know about all the other parking. There was somebody had said that the parking there wasn't even enough parking with that, is that?
currently, if you add up what has been listed on the old master plan and the spaces that they have, without the overflows that he's connected to, it comes up about 38 spaces short in current.
No, we have extra 21 spots that are required by zoning. We have extra, we've already submitted that chart to this board 3 times.
Mr. Lowe?
Yeah. We're kind of like at an impasse here, and I think we should just find out how much time, do you want this extended or not? The, modification.
I don't want to extend it because I want to move forward and finish the last 3 buildings.
You said no, but I've got the thing here from Conservation going back last year where they said they wanted the asphalt off, okay? That was last year. Over here, your agreement with aggregate, there's a 1 paragraph, it's called the license. No end date on this or anything. And it can be terminated at their whim. More than that. So those parking lots way up at the back, not really anything that you can say I really have in hand. Because they can terminate it tomorrow if they want to,
Right,
according to this. Secondly, part of that, one of those parking lots is actually, part of it is R2 zones.
out of what? I'm sorry.
R2, that's single residential zone, going up.
So why don't I just take the parking lots out and this whole thing goes to bed? I don't have to hire Tetra Tech, and I'll just rip them out and put the land back.
First of all,
And then I can keep moving forward.
So out of your, what would you
'Cause
be
we'll
looking
spe-
for on this modification, just to reiterate?
I'll come back in with the plan, not sure, I'll take them out. And people will park on the street again. I mean, it's no problem. I mean, I did that as a convenience for the fire department, police department. I work with these people every day to keep the flow going. I mean, people live there, they have guests. I didn't write the zone in the beginning. There was a lot of flaws in it. I wasn't aware of this was gonna happen. So I'm just trying to accommodate everybody. It's not hurting anybody, but if it's gonna keep stalling me on this board, I'll take the parking lots out tomorrow. That's what I do. It's not a problem. They'll go back in the street, and that's it. I mean, we can't tell people not to buy cars, so I have to do what I have to do.
oh, the parking lots aren't even, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, parking lots, parking's not even under our jurisdiction, so to speak. This, I call it out of our rules and regs here. It's 8.7, location of parking lots, off-street parking shall be provided on the same laws of principal use as they are required to serve. And the practical difficulties are determined by the Board of Selectmen, prevent their establishment upon the same lot, they shall be established no further than 300 feet from the premises to which they are appurtenant, and by special permit by the Board of Selectmen.
I am asking for a temporary use that this board would rule that when we occupy the other buildings, those would be restored to what they were before. That's what I'm asking the board for. When I build buildings all the time in Boston, we use different people's property for laydown area and parking. When I built 1565, we used Dunkin' Donuts. I had a deal with those people. It's not
How long
uncommon.
would this temporary parking be for?
It's gonna be there for the next year and a half.
While you build the assisted? living?
Yes, we're moving very quick on the assisted living. So, I'm telling you tonight, we're gonna be in here. The architect team is on board, everybody is on board. I saw all the emails today, they've already done the building layouts, they've already working on the parking. But if I'm gonna keep holding up this, I have to go back, I have to get this thing moving forward. It's not good for me to have site unfinished in the town. I mean, I wanna finish this site. People live up
Mr.
there.
Schuman, do you have anything?
Maybe I can offer a suggestion. So, Mr. Kuszewski is concerned about the cost of Tetra Tech's review. And, I mean, as some of us, I'm sure, know, anytime you get a consulting engineer to open a plan set, they're gonna be in the 5 figures for what they're gonna charge. My suggestion would be that he's already acknowledged that he has to come back for modification of the master plan for the assisted living, whatever this other building is that they're proposing. That could be done all at the same time, and the consulting review could be done for the entire project all at once.
I like that idea. And I know my attorney, Paul Feldman, today, we had a conference call yesterday, he's gonna reach out to him and talk about this whole thing. So I like that idea. And then the whole plan would, maybe I'm wrong, would come together showing those parking lots removed when the buildings get built.
So we can do that.
You could do that. It sounds like the applicant was open to that as well.
We would continue until all that was in.
And I don't mind paying that review at that time, because that's gonna review the whole
Right.
new master plan instead of pieces of it.
Right. And he did attend the site visit, so most of that, his questions were probably answered there. You said he has a few more questions. So it doesn't sound like there's much.
But we can
on this,
incorporate those
but if
in-
we can do it all together.
Yes, we can
And we can
incorporate
do
those
that.
into the plan.
Just to be clear though, it's not a new master plan. There's
Oh.
already a master plan.
Right.
It's a modification.
Modification.
Notification.
But if this board's fine with that, giving us one modified plan showing those removed when the buildings are done with the two, because we have to come in because they're 2 different buildings or 1 new building. And they're gonna be between 200 and 210 rooms, so we're not like overcrowded compared to, we were approved for like 270 hotel rooms or 265 with people in and out. This is a whole different thing. Wingate's a great group of people, they run a top-notch operation, they're gonna spend over $90 million up there, so it's gonna be a Class A facility. So if we can do that, that would be helpful and help us move along with our new modified master plan.
Okay.
You want to withdraw this,
Phil?
Mr. Chairman?
In the meanwhile, I will go to conservation, and I will provide you with the extension, and we will file a plan with conservation, and if that thing does not work out, that parking lot will get removed in the time,
You already said you're removing that parking lot.
yes, but I'm going to them to modify some stuff like park benches, trees. We're trying to come up with a plan.
They
That's,
seem very adamant that they're gonna make you remove that, so
I know, but
we're
no,
not gonna approve that if they don't.
no, I understand. We gotta explain to them what's there. We have to have a site. It's 14 inches of solid concrete. There's nothing gonna grow there. We're not in the wetlands. We're in the buffer zone. So we're gonna go in with a good plan, like I told them, with trees, a fence, benches, different things. We're gonna go with a
Looming
plan.
grass is what I read.
What?
Did you say there's gonna be no looming grass? Nothing's gonna grow?
Well, there's ways to make it grow, but underneath it is 2 big vaults that hold hundreds of thousands of gallons of water. You know, and the concrete is 14 inches thick. I showed Steve from Tetra Tech all the pictures when we were at the site visit today, and he understood all that. So, we don't have a plan. There's no plan that was ever submitted to conservation how to finish the top of that. It never was.
All right.
It just shows the concrete on
I thought
top.
I read that you told Frank you were gonna put loom there or something.
Yes, well, on the ends, there's
In a
drainage.
dog park.
Yeah, so I walked it with Frank, and we're gonna come up with a plan that's gonna make them happy, and if we don't, we will. We're gonna. I'm been up here for how
Okay.
long? I've never done anything to these boards I said I wouldn't do. I'm gonna make a plan that's gonna make everybody happy.
Okay, so at this time, we'll make a motion to continue, and then,
It's a public hearing, so you'll need to continue to a specific day.
mhm.
Do you have an idea of when you're coming back
Yes,
with the rest of the changes?
Within, I'd say with the new buildings proposed, within the next 8 weeks, from what I see what's happening today. I mean, 4th of July week, but I know everybody already has everything, and they're commingling it now, so we're coming in here pretty quick.
So maybe then your second meeting in August?
August 15th, yeah, that gives you right around 8 weeks.
That would be great. And if we're not, we'll come in with a progress plan, okay? If we don't have the final plan
That'll be
by,
one of the requirements, yeah, absolutely.
yeah, no, I'm saying if I don't have the final plan,
Yeah.
I'll bring the lawyer and the engineer in with a progress plan to show you the buildings, the parking, and then you can get a feeling of what's gonna happen.
Ooh. Well, you guys can meet August 15th, I'm not gonna be here. I'm on a cruise to Alaska.
Got a question, a long time ago, before my wife spoke.
My cruise to Alaska trumps this, I'm sorry.
Are there any other questions from the board members before we open it up to the public?
Well, yeah, okay,
Could,
I'm looking for-
hold on one quick second, I just wanted to ask one question, just because I need the continuance sake. Could we meet on, the 22nd instead of the 15th? Typically, we meet the 1st or the 3rd, but is that set in stone?
time. How much time?
So he's gonna grant
He
us
said
the
he needs
extension.
about 8 weeks.
Is he gonna give us in writing an extension?
He's gonna agree to it right now, we're gonna make a motion to extend it to that date.
To us in writing right now.
Does he need to give us
Or it needs to
this in
be-
writing, because it's a,
I think it's on the record.
okay.
There's no deadline for your action.
So it's up to the board, you guys can meet on the 15th if you want to, or if everybody's amendable, if we can make that meeting the 22nd.
Well, we'll have to check.
Actually, yeah, that's
Everyone
up,
will have to check their schedule.
actually, that won't work anyway, so don't plan around me, because I don't get back until,
I'm away in August, I don't know what week.
I don't get back to the 25th. Unless we met August 8th and we backed it up a week. That messes up, we would have to meet on the 1st and the 8th.
Would be better sooner later rather than sooner.
If we came in September, the first week in September, it might just be, I would like to see the whole board here, so we don't explain it twice, that's just my opinion. You know, it's up to you though.
Okay, so September 5th?
Yeah, I mean, what's the
Okay.
difference? You know, everyone goes away July 4th,
Gives them a couple more weeks.
then we only have 5 weeks between the end of
And everybody
August.
goes away at the end of August too, because they have that FOMO of
And
something.
then I'll definitely be closer if I'm not there by that date with the plan, but we'll definitely show up with a progress plan.
Okay.
So just for the record, you're willing to give the board an extension?
We don't time it out.
We
so-
don't time out anyways.
No.
Well,
Right.
If we go that late, we don't time out, Jesse?
No
That's
deadline.
what you assume?
No deadline.
Okay.
So we.
Mr. Serene,
Oh,
Yes, I know, we're gonna open it up to the public.
Sorry.
Okay, thank you.
This is a public meeting, anyone that'd like to speak in favor or against, please post the podium.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mike Sereno, 54 Gates Road. Just a question to the attorney, has nothing to do about parking. But under the original master plan, it was 30 units per acre. And 15 Collins Ave was included in the master plan, the original master plan. It was 30 units an acre. Now, if we're modifying the plan now, like you said, the zoning's gonna be freeze to 2022, which had the heights and the 20 units per acre. So if he files a modified plan, does he still have to go by the 30 units per acre or the 20 units? So
Requirements.
then he wouldn't be able to build on 15 Collins Ave.
I don't know what he plans to do on 15.
Oh, because it's 256 units now that they have built. So they would be, they're over the limit, they're over the,
Still talking about
and it was a
costs.
10-acre site, so they're over the 20 units per acre now. And that's all, I was just trying to clarify what was going on. Thank you.
We're not
Thank you,
even
Mr.
there
Sereno.
yet, across the
No,
street.
no, we're not there. We understand what's going on with the zoning, so that's a legal thing for me between the town lawyer and my lawyer. We're working on that. We're not building 40 more units. we're gonna build some kind of units. You know, original intent was try to build some medical building there. We tried and tried. The hospital industry is really bad right now. So we're gonna come in, we're thinking about two different things. That's gonna show up on our plan. We're gonna do it all at once. We discussed it today. So, we're
So
gonna
it
do,
won't be residential units?
no, it might be.
Oh, so you're undecided?
What?
Right now it's undecided.
We want residential units there for less impact.
That's the land you don't own yet that you're currently.
No, I own 15 columns.
15.
Oh, okay.
No,
That's
no.
the lot on the right when you
Yeah,
go up
no, no.
Collins there.
Oh, it's the first one. I keep mixing up 15 and 30.
I'd rather put
Yeah.
residential
15's
units
first
in there,
and
it's less
35's
impact
second.
on the neighborhood, but if it doesn't work out, we're gonna come up with something else.
But that would fall under the 2022 stipulation, correct? 20 units per acre? Because that was not on the master plan.
That land is part of the master
Yeah,
plan, but
it's
I'm not
part
gonna
of
get into
it.
that. The detention ponds on that land, it was part of the master plan.
And just, I just want to say, I agree, I think the assistant living would be a good use for the property. But when I was chairman of the Board of Assessors, there was talk about assistant livings and nursing homes not paying property taxes. So I hope there's some type of agreement that will get the commercial tax rate on them buildings. And I want you to keep that in mind also. Thank you.
Thank you,
Well, no,
Mr.
we're gonna pay the
Serino.
tax rate.
Well, that states what doing a commercial rate. and
Like I said,
not allowing them to.
I'm sorry. To be full clear, when that deal gets approved, I will be selling those two lots to Wingate. So they will be running it and everything and paying their own taxes and all that stuff. So that's the deal, because I'm a residential builder, my residential component is used up. It's not a secret. The hotels we don't think is the best use for the site, so we've been trying to do this nursing home thing, and it's working out. So we got a decision by the court, we're gonna follow that decision, sentence to sentence, and that's what we're gonna come in here with. That's what we're gonna do, and I think it's gonna be a very nice facility. Okay?
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry,
So
Phil.
if we require a tax agreement,
That's beyond me.
okay, so it wouldn't be with you.
No, that's,
But you're gonna represent Win when they come in, or they're gonna represent themselves?
Wynn has hired Paul Feldman, we gave him a disclosure. So Paul Feldman, they have another lawyer named David Feldman, from what I'm reading. Their team, the architectural team from Boston, ATT or something, they have their own team, but they're using my civil engineer because he knows the site. So they engaged in all those people. Has nothing, the master plan has to do with me to get the issues resolved. But once the approval is done, I will be passing papers with them and moving on. But until the approval is done, yes, I'm still involved, but their team is gonna take over. They did hire Paul Feldman, they did hire David Feldman, they did hire Paul Machonda, and they did hire the architect. So that's their team.
Just a quick question, Mr. Chairman, not related to this, but do you have an update on that illegal dumping up there?
I tried to follow up with the police officer this week, and he didn't answer me, so I'll call again. I know the guy lived in the building, they went to U-Haul like I told you, they got his license, because they wouldn't give it to me, the policeman, Officer Cash went there, I think his name's Bill Cash, and he came back, he found out the guy lived in the building, we got the U-Haul truck, he made him go there and clean it up, came back an hour later, the guy went back in the building, he went and got him again, I was with him, told him to clean it up, and he still hasn't cleaned it up. But the gentleman still lives there. So I will follow up with the police officer again tomorrow.
Where is this?
So a U-Haul truck, this guy rents U-Haul trucks and he goes around, he collects trash and roofing, and they park over there. They were parking over there and they opened the door, and his excuse was when he opened the door, the stuff fell out.
And he didn't pick it up?
No, but one of my guys caught him at 1 in the morning. One of my maintenance guys lived there and he was coming home and saw the truck, so he pulled in there. So he shut the door, drove away. But the next morning, the truck was parked in one of my parking spots. And we could see the roof stuff on the bumper. So we opened the door, it was still half full. So I called the police came, they were nice enough to go to U-Haul, they found out who rented the truck, came back, found out he lived in the building, they got him out of bed, took him over there and told him to clean it off, we'll be back in an hour. We came back in an hour, the guy was back upstairs sleeping. So the police officer went there again and told him, you know, go clean it up. He goes, yeah, I'm waiting for my cousin, my uncle, and the police officer told him it's gotta be cleaned up today. Or, you know, we're gonna get you for illegal dumping. And then when we noticed it, I didn't notice it with the trees growing, and Mr. O'Brien has noticed it picking up his coffee every day. So I'll follow it up tomorrow again with the police department, because they have all the information. You know, because the truck had like a Minnesota plate, you know, and U-Haul wouldn't give me that information, but he was nice enough to get it. So we know who it is. He lives in Unit 501.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really? And so where is the location of?
No, he dumped it over the wall on the other property, not on my property.
Ah,
He pulled in that lot and he dumped it, he did it twice. And we have him on camera the first time, but we couldn't get the license plate, so now we just tied him to the whole thing. So the second time he got caught, so the police officers told him to clean it all up, and he really hasn't cleaned it up, right? No. But it's dumped on someone else's property.
wow.
That land behind Dunkin' Donuts is owned by them, and that's the wetlands.
He dumped it in the wetland?
Yes.
Ooh, I wonder if he can be fined. He must be. able to
Well, I
be
think at
fined,
this
right?
point, the police are gonna be pretty mad, because he gave them 2 chances.
Maybe the conservation should speak to the police about it, the conservation officer.
But I believe the police officer's name is Billy Cash. I know his name's Cash. He gave me his phone number. So he was a nice guy. And he followed up on it. He goes, Mike, he stayed on it for like 3 hours. He just didn't go away that morning. But, you know, he got the guy back out of bed again. And me and him were standing there talking for like 20 minutes. And then finally he called the kid again and said, you don't come down right now. I'm taking you in. And he came down and he went over and he started making an effort. But then he drove away again. The police couldn't sit there and watch him. He gave him a break. So we know who it is. But it's definitely in the wetlands.
Well, yeah, he should be made to clean that up.
If not, I mean, I'll follow up with the police tomorrow, and I'll let Frank McKinnon know.
That's the retaining one.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the board?
Motion to continue the public hearing to
September 5th?
September 5th.
Can I get a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you very much.
See you in
Appreciate it.
September.
Thank you. I appreciate everything. Thank
Have a
you very
good
much.
summer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we go anywhere,
Appreciate it.
we've talked about, you
Think I'm
know,
done, right?
You're done.
in these procedures here, it requires us to sign the Mylar, 4 copies, and how they distribute. It's on the A&R. But, one of the questions I asked of you, Jesse, about, do we have to sign site plans or the master plans? And right now, we don't have that in our, is there a problem? Do we have to have a public hearing to put that into our procedures?
You do,
Okay.
to change your rules and regulations. You have to have a
Would you
public
be
hearing.
kind enough to write up something that,
I know what you
have us, you know, so that we could advertise it and
Taking off.
get it in there?
Should have been.
I certainly
because
can.
it's on
There
the
was, at one point in the last couple of years, there was some discussion about
The
having
applicant
a
asked for continuance.
whole redraft of the rules and regulations for,
To do it just on the record.
do that, or can
Just on the record.
Yeah.
Because there is, I've talked to the code enforcement people, and there's confusion. Because stuff that, you know, comes down that we don't sign, or some plans that Nancy had to go to a lawyer for, copies of. And we're not, like the, you know, I think all of us agree we want to tighten up the procedure, so that downstairs they know what we're doing.
The building inspector, the commissioner, had also asked if we could do that. If
But
we-
he
if-
made a good suggestion that we not only do that, but then we initial each page. So then,
Yes.
because sometimes plans come back later and you could slide out a page here and there. So when we sign them, I
Oh.
think then we initial each, we can sign the front and then initial each page in the corner.
Yeah.
That's a good practice to get into.
And distribute it the same way that we distribute the A&R on that.
I think we
Here
should
we go.
make it part of the bigger picture, like you said, a complete review of the entire proceedings. Maybe put it together.
Just for the record, there was another continued public hearing for 156, 180 Main Street, Chase Bank Site Plan Review Permit. That applicant, I believe at the last minute asked for a continuance, waiting on information from Beta.
Nancy, what was the date they continued to?
July 18th.
July 18th, okay. So that'll be the only thing on the agenda on July 18th, and we don't have anything new, so we don't need a meeting in, well, we'll wait until July 18th.
One meeting in July.
One meeting, yeah.
4th is a Thursday. August
Yeah, if they're even ready, they might not be ready yet. They're waiting on their peer review from Beta. So if they're ready, then we can hear that on that date. But then if there's no new submissions, we may not need a meeting in August, correct?
This is, do they know they have to come in with a plan that shows a lot, separate lot with frontage and all that stuff?
Cool.
That's not an auxiliary, are we talking about the bank?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not an auxiliary building or accessory building, that's a main building, on that big piece of land over there. So it really does need its own lot.
Yeah, it has its, doesn't have its own lot, what do you mean?
No, it'd be taking up a couple of, units of, parking space opposite the, urgent care place.
All right, we'll talk about that when we're on the agenda. I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn.
Wait, do you have to make a motion to
Second.
continue the public hearing? Because that's what they
No, they
requested.
requested it already, so they've already,
Approve it?
oh, we don't have to make a motion to continue that, do we?
You should make a motion.
Motion, okay, all right, good, yeah.
I'll make a
You
motion
make
to
the motion.
continue the public hearing for 156, 180 Main Street, Chase Bank,
Can I get a second? All in favor?
You gotta mention the
Aye.
date, to July 18th.
to July 18th, 2024.
All in
Second?
favor? Can I
Second?
have a second?
Yeah, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
Motion
I
to
got a
adjourn?
motion to adjourn.